Hey up guys, welcome to Wrestling in the Dark. I'm Mason, the one and only blind wrestling fan right here on YouTube, and today I'm here to talk to you about Okada versus Naito in the Wrestle Kingdom 40 Night 2 main event. I checked out Ibushi Okada and now I'm back for a second helping. So what was it like for someone who can't see it all? Chill out, have fun, and we'll take a look at it. It feels good to be back with a video, to be honest. It's been a while since I've uploaded anything properly because I've been absolutely plagued with technological issues recently, but I am working on fixing them, so I can't promise particularly regular videos at the minute, but as soon as it's sorted out, everything should go back to normal, back to as it was. It's been very, very frustrating, but it does seem like I'll be on the verge of sorting that out, so let's just get through to talking about the thing we're here to talk about. It's Okada and Naito. I am not a regular New Japan viewer, but I do check it out on the big, or have started checking it out on the bigger occasions. I watch the G1 main events, and I just couldn't resist coming back to this. So when I watched Okada and Ibushi, I really enjoyed that. It was a fantastic match. Dealt it a 6 out of 6 because I rate things out of 6 because I don't know why, just I do, and I just find it easier. It's like, 1 is I hate it. 2 is like I mostly hated it, but there's at least one good thing. 3 is like, yeah, you were nearly there. 4 is like acceptable to good, and then 5 is that was really good, and 6 is that was amazing. I did give Okada and Ibushi a 6 out of 6, and I just think part of that, or most of that, because the only way that I get filtered this information is through the commentary, and they did a fantastic job for Ibushi and Okada, and they definitely did the work in the entrances for this as well. Now, the first thing I noticed, Naito starts coming out, he's got club music. It's like early 2000s in a nightclub, the Blade movie or the Matrix or something like that. It's just that type of like dancey, clubby music. Just made me laugh. They talk about the fact that Naito's walking in 7 years after being defeated by Okada before, and how each man is focused entirely on getting the double gold, being the first, because that means being the best. They talk about the fact that Okada wants to elevate pro wrestling to the same level or higher than rugby and the Olympics, which I just think is a really cool thing. It's definitely helped me get invested in him just within these 2 matches. I just think that's a really cool aim to have, especially with the vibe that these 2 matches had, the Ibushi one and this one. I had a little chuckle to myself when they told us that Naito was wearing all or nothing on his robe. I like where they were going with it. It just made me chuckle because I was like, Naito to AEW confirmed then. It's totally going to be an AEW pay-per-view name. I guess it's like All Out and Double or Nothing. I guess that's why it's made me think of it, but it definitely made me laugh. When the bell actually initially rings, the intensity of the crowd is so loud that you can barely even hear the commentary talking as they're trying to lay down the different stats, etc. And it was so amazing because the Japanese fans, it's a weird mixture of they're sort of like quiet but really intense, and they build to massively intense pitches. They can just settle down to sort of that, we're just watching this, okay, applause every now and again, yes, oh, I enjoyed that, and then they just build to this, like, it feels like they're gonna just crumble the walls of the Tokyo Dome, and it jumped to that instantly. They talk about the fact, like conditioning, they talk about how these 2 faced each other 2 years ago, and it was their longest match to date. It was 34 minutes. They talk about the fact that both men went over half an hour last night, with Naito going against JY, Okada going against Ibushi in what was an almost 40-minute match, an incredibly grueling one. They talk about the reigns and the length of those reigns. So they talk about the fact that Okada has 5 reigns as IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and a combined 1790 days on that, as opposed to Naito, who only has the 1 reign at 70 days. And I was like, okay, you're really drawing that line. One of the things that I've really noticed just through watching these main events is that they seem to have Okada on this real sort of next level, and I really like that. It's sort of obviously not in the terms of the atmosphere and gimmick or whatever, but it just sort of feels like he's like the Undertaker. It's like, here's our most prominent, powerful guy, and I think that when they draw the line like that so well, it instantly, I mean, I knew the result of this match, and there are times in this match where I was like, how is Naito going to pull this off? There's no way that he can win. Like, Okada is definitely going to win here, and I think that's a massive testament to the New Japan commentary, that I can watch knowing how long the match is, knowing who wins it, and still be like so invested in the story that I don't know or that I can trick myself into believing the wrong thing about the story. Like, there's no way he's going to win. So it makes me really happy that they can do the job so well that it just gets me instantly invested. Kevin Kelly does a fantastic job in the early moments of just keeping us apprised of the back and forth action. He has this sort of just really nice call letting you know, right, you need to start paying attention, where he's like, first collision of the match, it's a strong collar and elbow tie up, and I was like, okay, I'm now paying attention, Kevin, don't worry. And then Okada starts picking up the pace, and we get this sequence that Kevin calls really, really nicely. Okada gets a leapfrog, Naito goes under the legs, and there was a few other things that I really couldn't keep up with because he was calling them so fast, but Okada ends up coming out on top of that sequence. They do a great job of positioning Naito as the underdog. They talk about the fact that he was teetering on irrelevance in 2019 until this chance at the double gold came up, and he started building some momentum from that. They talk about the fact that last time he faced Okada, how it was a moment of hesitation that cost him. Okada's still picking up the pace. He hits a sliding dropkick, makes sure that Naito doesn't roll away, and hits another dropkick. And they really play up the fact that the Naito's fighting from underneath in this bout. Kevin has another really well-called sequence that ends with Naito getting a dropkick to the back of Okada's head, and this is where he really starts picking up some momentum. He gets a leg sweep and a move that I didn't catch because of a notification. They did call it, I just didn't catch it. They go to the outside, Naito hits a neck breaker and starts going to work on the neck, laying in shots. Commentary play up the fact that he's softening up the neck for the Destino. Don't know what the Destino is, but now I know that I need to be on the lookout for it regardless. It's a move that he's softening him up for. It's obviously his finisher, so I need to look out for it. He gets Okada back in the ring, hits another net breaker, floats over into the cover. It looks like Naito's going to go for a reverse DDT. He hits a net breaker, and then he locks in a full Nelson on Okada using his legs. Eventually, Okada gets to the ropes. Naito starts laying in heavy elbows that the commentary say benefited him big time in his match against Jay White the night before. He gets the omoplata, and they compliment how well he's going about working Okada's neck, and talks about the fact that Okada really needs to get out of this if he doesn't want the damage to be done, if he wants to win this double gold. Eventually, though, Naito has a moment of hesitation, and Okada boots him in the face for it, and then rolls to the opposite side of the ring to create some separation. Okada gets a neckbreaker of his own, driving Naito onto his knee. He body slams him, goes up to the top rope, delivers a flying elbow. He's going for the Rainmaker, but Naito counters with back elbows, gets the wrist control, starts raining down those heavy shots to the neck again. Okada eventually ducks one, so Naito just spine busters him. He gets Okada to the top rope and delivers a super Rana that sends everybody crazy. The crowd, the commentary. I was fairly impressed. So it was a really cool moment in the match. Everything's picking up for Naito. It's looking like he might finally have the chance to get this in the bag, but Okada finds the smallest chance and delivers a shotgun dropkick, driving Naito into the corner. This is where Okada just climbs on top. He gets Naito to the top rope and delivers a dropkick that sends Naito crashing from the top to the floor. On the outside, he starts getting really nasty. He drives Naito's knee into the floor. Commentary play up the fact that Naito's knee is already damaged. It withstood so much damage in his match against Jay White that he's already in pain, and now Okada's just going to work on it. He chop blocks him and he drives the knee into a table so hard that it fractures the table. He can barely stand up. Okada returns to the ring so that the 20 count can start. By 14, Naito isn't even on his feet. He starts his journey back towards the ring. He falls over. Commentary's like, not like this, not like this. And he eventually beats the count, but he gets hit with a big move for the cover anyway. Okada gets the German, he clings on to Naito. Commentary starts talking about how when he does this, he's going to go for the Rainmaker, which he does. But Naito manages to counter and gets the DDT that he struggled so much to get on Jay White the night before. The crowd intensity just builds and builds as Naito gets back on the offensive. He hits a high angle move, not particularly sure what it was. I didn't hear it. It sounded like it might, like a Gloria or something. I'm not particularly sure. I don't think it particularly matters. Even though he's struggling to stand, he gets Okada to the top rope. He hits a super poison Rana that the commentary cannot believe was not a 3 count. And then this sequence starts that Kevin Kelly just calls absolutely fantastically, where Okada is just hitting desperation elbows. He goes for the Rainmaker, which Naito avoids. Naito goes for the Destino, Okada avoids, and then it goes back and forth until Naito hits a dropkick and another big move and goes for the cover. They called it absolutely fantastically. It sort of it was just amazing and drew me in, and I couldn't write down all the moves in the sequence, but who cares? I'm not going to complain about them calling it so well that I couldn't even get down the notes. I was just, by this point in the match, I was like, I really want Naito to win, which is surprising because I've actually really enjoyed the stuff that Okada's done that I've seen, and I actually seem to quite like his style, etc. But by this point, with the story being told, I was like, oh, I really want Naito to win this now. And it's amazing the way that the crowd was, in terms of they really like both men. There was no heel or face dynamic for the most part. That bit on the outside where Okada was working the knee, they were booing him for that, but that's because he's being nasty. Once they're in the ring, it's not even like a 50-50 split. It's just like the whole crowd loves both men, and it makes it so intense. At this point, they just start laying in shots on each other, and the crowd make this moment so intense. It's not a boo, yay, kind of thing. It's a, like every time one of them gets hit, it's just this explosion of noise that's so intense, like a thunderclap, and it just makes it feel like such a big moment. That continues until Okada goes for the Rainmaker. Naito manages to avoid that the first time. The second time he gets hit with a spinning Rainmaker. Then Okada gets a spinning Tombstone, another Rainmaker, but Okada kicks out. Naito kicks out. Commentary can't believe it. at this point, Naito spits in the face of the champ, and for his for his disrespect, he gets more brutalization to the knee. Okada just goes back to working it, chop blocking him again. The crowd is just booing him. He gets wrist control. He hits a pair of Rainmakers. On the third one, Naito manages to get Destino, but it jams his knee, so he can't go straight for the cover, and this momentary blip is what allows Okada to kick out. Naito stays on top. He goes to the top rope, hits a splash. I think they might have said a Stardust splash, and then that's when he goes for the Destino again. Okada manages to avoid it the first time, but the second time he gets hit with that Destino, and Naito becomes the double champ. I was like, by that moment, I was like, that was just so awesome. Like, I sort of knew it was over on that second Destino, and I think Kevin Kelly maybe advertised it a little bit just with how long he held it on. It does make me laugh. I can't do an impression of it because I live in a small block of flats, but it makes me laugh with Kelly when they do the Rainmaker or the Destino. It's the held on thing, like the Rainmaker, and he just holds it on until they kick out, and it really makes me laugh. I love this commentary team. Like, I really, really like it. They are consistent. I felt like I was watching the same level of production as I was the night before. There are other companies that I feel are very inconsistent who will one match give you great performances and then in other matches give you terrible ones. And obviously, I haven't sat through the whole pay-per-view. I'm not a regular viewer, but every single time I've turned on an NJPW match, when I watch the G1 matches that I watch, when I watch these two matches for the Wrestle Kingdom, it makes me wish that I had the time to sit and watch everything that they did and everything that they do, because it's fantastic. The feeling of the event, in terms of, it was far more intense this second night. The first night was very much that Olympics kind of thing with the building, the setup, build, applause, celebrate, setup, build, applause, whereas in this was just it was like this a really important event that everyone knew how important it was. Okada's going in really wanting to be the best. Naito's going in really wanting to be the best. You've got the different loyalties on the commentary table too, with Rocky Romero really being behind Okada, and I haven't necessarily learned all of the names, but one of the guys it seems to be quite a Bullet Club fan, because post-match Kenta did come out to attack Naito, and he was very, very happy about it when the others were very, very disgusted. Yeah, Kenta coming out too is something that I think is pretty cool. Someone's got to come and piss on Naito's bonfire. It can't just be a feel-good celebration thing. I don't know why. Let's face it, everyone would have been happy if it had gone off air and Naito had just been there, I assume, holding two belts and celebrating. Everyone would have been like, yeah, that was fine. But they kicked off a new story, and I'm sure that I'll keep up to date with what's going on with that, and if there's any big matches, I'm probably going to tune in, because it's going to be quite interesting to see where Naito goes with this. I'm genuinely really interested in the New Japan style, and it's something that I might have to try and sort of dip my toe into more often, like once a month or something like that, because I really do enjoy it. And there are people there like Will Ospreay who I just haven't seen enough of, people like Zack Sabre Jr. who I've seen a few things of, like his stuff in the Cruiserweight Classic and WWE, where I really, really enjoyed his stuff. I mean, that was back when I could even see, I couldn't see much, but I saw enough to know that I really liked his style, and I'd like to see more from him. But yeah, this was a fantastic match. Was it as good as Okada Ibushi? I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure why, but I don't feel like it quite got to that 6 out of 6 level. But it was definitely a strong 5+. I think maybe if I'd have been more of a New Japan fan, maybe if I knew a bit more about Naito and Okada and the history, etc., maybe this would have felt like the bigger match. But as it stands, I really liked the continuation of the story from the G1 to the Night 1 match between Okada and Ibushi. I just really liked how they told that story, how I felt like, even though I hadn't watched the months in between those, I felt like I was perfectly apprised of the story. And don't get me wrong, they did a fantastic job of really positioning Naito as the underdog for this, and really getting me behind him, making me want him to win. So, a job well done by New Japan, and I definitely want to see where things go from here. A big shout out to Jen Rosen. I'm not sure if that's how I'm supposed to say your name, but that's how my screen reader reads it out. So yeah, Jen Rosen, big shout out to you. You asked me to do this. Like I said, I went straight from replying to your comment to doing this, so thanks so much for leaving me a comment, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If anyone else has got any thoughts about this match or this episode of wITD, you know where the comment section is. You can tweet me at Mason_WITD, and if you want to make sure that you're up to date with the one and only blind wrestling fan, make sure you click subscribe and you'll never miss another Wrestling in the Dark video as long as you click the all notifications on the notification bell. Right guys, I'm off, and you should have a good one.